Hey loves, it's me Daniela. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. So as you can see from the title of this week's video, I wanted to come on here and discuss hairstyles that I think you should avoid if you are someone that is suffering from alopecia, traction alopecia, hair loss, CCCA, whatever form of hair loss you're suffering from, or if you're someone that just generally wants to take better care of your hair and just improve your hair growth in 2024, then this video is for you. So I know at the moment there is so many different hairstyles trending. Everyone's going back to sew-ins, and it can be a bit tempting to like want to experiment and just go with the vibe, just go with the trends. But let's not give in to temptation. Let's not give in to temptation, because I find it so easy to just go with the flow. They said wigs are back in, you go and get a wig. They said like, oh, we're not doing frontals anymore, now is closure time. And not any closure, you need a 5x5 closure or 7x7 closure, and you're like, oh yeah, I need to go and get a 7x7 glueless closure wig. And then now it's sewing, and next it's knotless. Every couple months the hairstyles are trending, and then you're struggling with your hair loss and you're like, am I able to? Should I give in, or should I just stick to what works? But not to worry, I've done my little research on the different hairstyles. I myself have experimented with a few, so I can definitely give you guys an informed opinion on them. So with that being said, let's get into these hairstyles. So the first one I want to discuss is tape-ins. This became very popular last year. You were seeing all the girlies getting their tape-ins done, and it was definitely giving me a versatile sewing. You know, in early 2012, I would say around 2012, versatile sewing became very popular, and it just had that seamless look to it. So it didn't really give off traditional sewing. You were able to like put it up in a bun. If you want to do a low ponytail, you could have do a little flip over method with some of them. So that's the vibe I was getting from tape-ins. So your girl was tempted, I'm not going to lie, because as I was saying to you guys in the last hair video I did, wearing wigs over time can take a toll on you. Sometimes you just want to be able to just run your hands freely through your hair. So I was doing my research on tape-ins, and I come to find out that tape-ins is actually one of the more safer extension option. So when it comes to tape-ins, when it comes to extension, generally you have like traditional sew-ins, you have microlinks, you have tape-ins, you have clip-ins. But out of all of those options, tape-ins is actually one of the more safer options, as it's not on the hair directly, it's not on the scalp, it's not tugging or adding weight to the hair strands. So that's what I was like drawn to at first, along with the versatility of it. But I must point out that if you were looking to get tape-ins, I would highly suggest that you go ahead and get it done by a professional. Though it might seem like it's easy for you to DIY it on your own, I think the application of it definitely needs to be done by a professional, and getting it removed as well, because I was watching a few videos and I can see persons, their hair just get tangled and the taping eventually rip out their own hair. So I think taping, it is a good option, but just ensure that you are getting it professionally done. And for myself, the reason why I didn't go ahead with it, even though it's one of the better options, is because the hair in the crown, in my crown, is a bit more fragile. So I was a bit apprehensive, because I'm thinking if the hair is fragile, persons are having difficulty removing it. I'm not sure if I wanted to like pay the extra money to get it removed as well. That can just like cause that area to go bald again if the hair is still fragile, because I feel like once you experience hair loss to the extent that I did, and like the hair is growing back, it's never going to be 100% the same. There's always going to be some level of fragility going on. So I'm like, you know what, I don't want to let the baldness in that area extend, so I opted out. So that's something that you have to factor in when it comes to tape in. But if you were considering any form of extension, just to reassure you that taping is one of the safer options. So let's move on to style number 2, and that is definitely braiding. So there's so many different versions of braids at the moment. You have knotless braids, you have goddess braids, you have the traditional box braid, stitch braiding. But I think if you are experiencing hair loss, then you need to factor in the different pros and cons and the weight that will be added on to your hair as well. So if you're looking to get like a traditional stitch braid and you are someone that is experiencing CCA like myself, or even traction alopecia, I would say that's something that you should avoid, because stitch braiding, they are pulling the hair, and that is just additional tension and can yield to further hair loss. And if it's something that you're constantly getting over and over as well, it can cause the partings to widen as well, and we don't want that. We are trying to retain these hair follicles, these hair length. We are trying to retain growth, so we don't want to do any hairstyles that would cause further tension on the scalp. And you know, with CCA, like, it can cause like flare up. So like if the hairstyles are too tight, it can cause a flare up in certain different parts. For myself, I was experiencing a lot of flare up in the beginning of my hair loss, and the thing is, I was getting braids, but I didn't have any clue that the braids and how tight it was contributing towards the flare up. So yeah, definitely avoid those. That's a no-no in my book. But if you were thinking about knotless braids, I've done knotless braids last year, and I know in the last video I was saying that yeah, this is definitely a style that you should consider, but I've come to realize, though you can do knotless braids, there is 2 ways of doing the knotless braids, and the stylist I went to, she did her best, and my only con to that experience is, in regards to the 2 options, I feel like though she shouldn't have like tried and mingle the 2 together. She have just stuck to the latter option that she did in the crown. So with knotless braids, there is the option to do the plait. So they start plaiting your own natural hair, and then as the plait continues, then they start adding in the extension. That's one method. Option 2 is to like start adding the braiding here from the start, so it isn't like adding that much tension towards the end of the hair, because it's the braiding here is from the very base. I don't know if that makes sense. If I can't find any videos to incorporate, I will, but yeah, that's the 2 options that I'm aware of. So the person I went to, all the other areas, because with the CCA, my baldness is in the crown, so with all the other areas, she did the first option. So that was to like plait the hair, part it, plait it, and then towards like, you know, couple centimeters down, should start adding in the braiding here. So at first I was okay with that, because I'm like, okay, the crown is okay, there's not much tension and all of that. But I come to realize it's probably best to just do all of the head in the second option. So that's where you start the braiding from the base, because when I was looking at it, I can see the difference. So like the one that she started it at the braiding, adding the braiding here a bit further down, the base is a bit thin, and then you see it start getting a bit fatter, a bit more bulkier as the braids are added on. And then the other one that she was trying to like not add that much tension to that parting of the hair, you can see like it has a concise size going down the entire length of the braid. So I feel like that is the better option instead of like doing it the first way. But anyways, lesson learned. Next time I go back, if I go back, I'll just tell them like, no, I don't want it done the first way, I want it done from the base. So yeah, that's just something that you need to factor in if you are looking to do knotless braids. Hopefully all of that makes sense, and I'm just hoping that I'll be able to find some little clip or some little picture that I can include to bring clarity to what I'm trying to explain. So the next hairstyle that I think you should definitely avoid or try and tweak the way you get it done if you are experiencing hair loss is traditional sew-ins. So I know at the moment this whole Y2K look is coming back, everyone is getting their sew-ins done, but I think with sew-ins it's very important to get the base right, and the base is what causes a lot of problems. So when I'm referring to the base, I'm referring to like the cane rows that you're getting done, and I know a lot of persons they like to add those extra braiding hair in to like ensure that it lasts a bit longer, and I feel like by doing that it's just adding additional tension because they are pulling it really tight. So if you're able to go to a stylist that understands your personal story, understand what you need from them and what you're trying to avoid, and they can work with you to ensure that the braiding isn't done tight for the sewing, then perfect, good for you. But in most cases I feel like a lot of persons they just want to like hurry up and get you out of their chair so they can move on to the next client, and that's where the issue comes in. So with sew-ins you just need to ensure that the braids aren't done tight, and also the actual sewing, it isn't pulling onto the hair, so it isn't tugging, because if it is tight, then that's an additional tension that is being added, and that's when you end up having situation as like when you're taking it down, the scalp is just like so inflamed. You can see the little flare ups. If you're suffering from CCCA, you can see the little flare ups. The scalp feels so tender, and you'll experience further hair loss as well. So that's something we're just trying to avoid altogether. My next issue with sewing is that because you want it to like look sleek and try and blend in as much as possible, it will result in you using additional heat on the hair. A little heat isn't bad. I'm not going to say oh I'm against heat altogether, because I've just started using my blow dryer again, and I feel like if used properly, heat can be very helpful in actually growing back your hair. I mentioned all of that when I went to the trichologist as well, so if you haven't watched that video, please make sure you go ahead and do that. So yes, heat can help grow your hair, but when it comes to the sewing, you just need to ensure that you aren't applying excessive heat and it's not leading to breakage. Talking about wanting to have that old sleek polished look when it comes to sewing, the next bit is your edges. And when you're trying to lay your edges, I feel like the go-to product is to use that edge controller, and that can just lead to you having no hairline, no baby hair, like baby hair where it's all in that little toothbrush. It's all in that toothbrush. That's one thing that I've stopped using is edge controller. I used to be hooked and tied to the shackles of edge controller, but now my scarf is my best friend, and that's the fourth and final style that I want to go into, which is buns and tight ponytail. I know everyone wants to try and have a sleek bun. You try and want it to like look as flat as possible, and I've come to realize that you don't need to constantly brush the hair and comb it up and re-tying it for it to look flat. So one time I used to brush it so hard that like these bits right here, the entire day is like I couldn't really turn my head properly, and then here I feel like I got eye lifts. But nowadays tweak it a bit. So a few brush, and then I just tie it down as tight as possible for it to be flattened, because if not, I feel like in the middle it's always puffy, and even the back at times. But yeah, try and avoid doing tight buns and ponytail as much as possible, and just avoid the style as much as possible if you can. So at the moment I have my natural hair out, so my thing is during the week I have it in a bun probably 2 or 3 times. As soon as I come through that door, it's coming down. I'm moisturizing my hair, put it in 2 little plaids or twists and tie it up, and I'm good to go. And I realized like me doing that instead of just leaving it in the bun for the entire night, sleeping it with it like this, I feel like my hair is flourishing and my hairline is coming back. So yeah guys, try and avoid it as much as possible. And also I know like frontal ponytail is very much still a thing, so with that as well, I would just avoid it altogether, because unlike with your own natural hair, you can't do that with a frontal ponytail because it's stuck like that until you decide to take it down. So just imagine all that tension, all that pulling for like 2-3 weeks, how long you decide to keep it in for. That's crazy. And I feel like that would just lead to further inflammation. Your ear follicles are crying, they're dying, they're literally dying. Because by the time you take that down, the amount of shedding that you'll be experiencing, it's not worth it. So yeah, those are all the hairstyles that are currently trending that I think we should definitely try and avoid as much as possible, or tweak our approach to them to reduce any impacts on our hair. So yeah, comment down in the comment section and let me know what you think, and if there's any hairstyle that I miss, please let us know as well. What's your take on it, and like what do you do to reduce the hair loss or the impact that it might have on you? So yeah, as usual, don't forget to go ahead, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Bye guys.